behind the scenes, budget management, right? Huge event. I'm sure the event cost you guys a small fortune, right? So my thing on budget is like essentially for someone that does your job. I mean, is there's pressure there. There's a responsibility there. So as much as it can be a running joke in events about budgets, it really is important to be dialed in. It's important to understand where to disperse it. It's important to understand past years. So how do you do it? How do you manage the budget for your event? What do you think is important? How do you manage it?
So I mentioned this earlier. I love budgets. I could talk about budgets all day. Budget management is like one of my favorite parts of event planning, which I know is super bizarre. I just get like real satisfaction from tracking and managing and reconciling. Like I just love it. And to your point, like it is a huge part of my role. I mean, I spend a lot of my time, like not just on breakthrough budget, but on budget. I mean, I'm in my budgets all day, every day. And so I kind of thought about like a few key components that help me to manage budgets. Number one, keep your budget up to date in real time. Like again, I'm in my budget every day. I am constantly shifting money from one bucket to the other as I get estimates. I'm inputting numbers. Like it is a real-time working document for me. And I always reference it and use it for months and months. Have a buffer. This is like a huge one. And I may be like overly crazy about this one, but I would say depending on size of the budget, I like to keep like I would say 5 to 10% of my budget in my back pocket for emergencies, things that come up, overages, and consumption, right? Like consumption is one of those like you just never know how much people are going to drink, right? The last evening at our Coachella event was like quite a party. And I think we served like 7,000 drinks for 1,000 people in one night. So it was a really good thing that I had like a consumption buffer it built in.
What was everybody drinking?
A lot of everything. I went through the
Wow.
bill and I was like, tequila, tequila. I mean, it was crazy. I counted 7,000 cocktails. It was a lot.
Can I get a breakthrough ticket? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Can I get
Everyone come to Breakthrough. It's a good time. And then, I would say too, like partner with finance throughout the process and ensure that there's transparency. I'm like really good friends with my finance partners, right? I meet with them bi-weekly just throughout the year, not even only for Breakthrough, but just making sure that we're on the same page, that we're tracking that their numbers match up to my numbers. It's a partnership for sure. And to your earlier point, like negotiation, right? You have to always really be watching your numbers and negotiating with your vendors. And, I say like this is a relationship industry, right? I'm not saying like beat your vendors over the head to get them down, ask, right? And there's trade-offs. I think this is a big thing for me too. Like I will go to executives all the time and say like, we could do X or Y, but we can't do both, right? And so sometimes it comes down to tough decisions in order to stay within budget. So, after obsessively managing my breakthrough budget for months and months, I came in like over 10% under budget, which I was super happy about, but now I'm worried that finance is going to take money away for next year. So it's always like a little bit of a game, right? How close can you come to your budget so that you continue to get money year over year? But it's fun and it's super important. Again, like you want executive buy-in, like the CFO like knows that I'm obsessive about my budget, right? And so if he gives me a number, like I'm going to do everything in my power to stay to that number or below.
One of the themes that I hear just as we're kind of cooking through this, and I touched on it earlier, is your relationships in cross departments or, whatever you want to call them, with finance, with sales, with marketing, with people, because it takes a village to put on an event. It really does. I mean, even if you're a smaller company, to put on 100-person event, right? I mean, you all are executing 1,000-person event with a 3-person event department team, right? But you have all these other partners, and the importance of utilizing them, I know as a outside partner, exterior partner to people like yourself doing work, that we come up all the time where people like yourself are struggling internally with someone in some department, and the people who don't and have built these longer relationships, the way things flow is amazing. And it does help get things executed. So I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's something that you brought up a couple of times here that's really sharp, and it's a very high level thinking to be like, we have to have these relationships to do this the right way. Bethany, you were a panelist this year at SEMA, and it was the secrets to executive buy-in on your event strategy and how do you try to get stakeholder buy-in. This is something that we've done an entire show about. This is stuff that I've tried to write about. This is fascinating to me because I do think it's like an undercover, kind of low key, difficult thing for people to do.